Welcome to the City of Annapolis Board of Appeals regular meeting for December 6th, right? January 6th. All right. The meeting's being broadcast on the city's YouTube channel. It'd be smarter to watch it at home. The agenda for tonight's meeting may be found on the city's website. The agenda contains links to a number of things that might be useful to you, to the city's YouTube channel. It also has a link to the form you need to complete if you want to comment on a case before the board, and a link to the database that has information about the cases. Before we get started tonight, let me remind everyone that communications by anyone with any member of the board about the case are prohibited under city and state law. The only way to communicate with the board about a case that's under active consideration, if you're a party to the case, you need to go through Kim Consoli, our liaison, and she'll let us know what we need to know. If you're not, you need to file a comment. So with that, we'll ask Ms. Consoli to call the roll.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yeah.
Mr. Zazali?
Here. Here.
Mr. Walsh?
Here.
Dr. Chen?
Present.
Mr. Hector?
Here.
And Mr. Rams?
Okay, we've got a quorum. Have the members of the board had a chance to review the agenda for tonight's meeting? Are there any corrections or additions?
I move to approve the agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And have the members of the board had a chance to review the draft minutes for, that be December 2nd?
Mr. Chairman, discussion on agenda item real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could we, when we get to public hearings, move three?
Yeah.
Just move, just to get the.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Any corrections or additions to the draft minutes for December 2nd? Is there a motion?
I move the minutes of December 7th be approved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next item of business, we've got 3 administrative items to take up. Election of the chair and vice chair. Do we have any nominations for chair?
I nominate Mr. Gallagher.
Second.
Is that Robert Gallagher?
Yes, Robert Gallagher.
Are there any other nominations? All right, may I turn it over to you, Christian, to...
We have a first and a second on the continuance of Mr. Gallagher as chair. May I have a vote, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are there nominations for vice chair?
Mr. Chair, I nominate Christian Zazali as vice chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Any other nominations? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Mr. Zazali.
Thank you.
One day this will come to an end.
We have distributed the draft 2025 annual report prepared by Kim. I hope you all had a chance to look at it. Any corrections or additions to that? Is there a motion to approve that?
I move to approve the 2025 annual report.
I applaud our
Second.
attendance. All very good.
Yeah, we all get gold stars.
Yes, it was.
Finally, we have, I circulated among you. Oh, did we not? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 I have circulated several weeks ago among the members of the board and some other people who were involved, a draft of amendments to the board's rules. The state law, I believe, requires periodically that we review our rules. And at some point, we were admonished by the Office of Law to do that. The only changes that I propose relate to making our rules consistent with the standard operating procedures adopted by the city for the use of City of Annapolis cable television. There were no other substantive. So if it's all right with you all, we'll start the formal part of that procedure. I'll have to refresh myself, but I think Tim will see that they're put up on the website for at least 30 days. They'll go to the council and maybe some others, and then they'll be up for final approval at a meeting after the conclusion of comment. So is there a motion to approve them at this stage?
Move to
Second.
proceed to
All-
post.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so for those of you who are present, we were going to change the agenda a little bit to take the last matter first, not because we want to preempt the first or second matters, but because we think that that's going to be disposed of for tonight quickly, and we'll simplify this evening. So that matter will be special exception application 25007, application by the owner of Forward Brewing for a special exception to allow seasonal outdoor dining in the existing parking lot. Property is located at 418 4th Street. All right, Ms. Burke, I understand there's been a request to postpone this. Is that correct?
Yes, the applicant would like to postpone so they can have more time to review the staff report until the February hearing.
Is that correct, Mr. Dales?
Chairman Gallagher, rather than a postponement, we had requested that the city support a continuance, and the only reason we asked for the continuance instead of the postponement was knowing the chairman's preference sometimes to allow members of the public who take time out of their schedules to show up and testify to do so both tonight and, if you chose, again at a continued hearing. But we wouldn't object to a postponement. We wanted to ask for the continuance to allow those to testify, but not present our case until the continued hearing in February.
I'm not clear on what you're asking me. Try again.
Chairman Gallagher, we're going to submit a motion for a continuance, and I'll do so. I would ask for a continuance rather than a postponement to give you the option to allow public testimony tonight for those who have showed up, if you'd like to, or to allow that to happen at the second meeting. I didn't want to ask for a postponement and preclude your ability being able to do that if you granted the postponement.
All right. Is there anyone here who has signed up to testify in the Forward Brewing case who would prefer to be heard tonight rather than when the case comes up again on February what? February 3rd. All right. Please stand up, whoever wants to be heard tonight. We would really rather limit this to people who have signed up. That's the rule. We're always happy to consider your written comment. In fact, we prefer written comments because we have better opportunity to digest them. So, all right. So we will hear from the 4 people who have signed up and would prefer to be heard tonight. Miss, would you like to go first?
Push. Okay, can you hear me okay? Okay. Hi, my name is Tanya Presser. I typed up my notes. I live on 4th Street, directly across from Forward Brewing. On our street between Chesapeake and Severn Avenues, there are 19 separate businesses, including my home. And there are only 30 street parking spaces. Beginning at 7:30 in the morning, lasting until well after 9 p.m., all of those parking spaces are at a premium, nearly always full, including employees of all these various businesses. The reality is that for myself and the other owner of the duplex where I live, we either have to move our cars after 9 p.m. or early in the morning before employees come and park in front of our house for the entirety of their duration of their shift. So these spaces they're taken up the entire day. Forward Brewing was originally approved for 26 seats indoor, later 28 seats, inclusive of its outdoor front porch. Proposal is for 9 months for 45 seats indoor, 89 seats outdoor, with no on-site parking, no on-site disabled parking spaces, except for 3 months out of the year. There's 30 spaces on the street. They're asking for now 134 patrons to be able to come there. I don't know if any of you have ever driven on our street. It's always circling to find a spot. I don't know the need for this. Have any traffic or parking analyses been conducted? Impact evaluation? Are we just allowing this because the owners are asking it without understanding how it would negatively impact not only our street, but the street surrounding? Because I know when we are circling to find parking on our street, people are moving to other streets in the area. I don't know how many of you have driven to Forward Brewing just to go, but you probably have had to look for a spot. Now you're going to be looking for 134, maybe more spots. The proposal is not in the best interest of this already overburdened street. If Forward Brewing wants additional seating, they need to provide on-site parking for that to accommodate not only their guests, but their staff. Staff park in front of our homes and on the street the entire day. If expansion is desired, allow for that parking. If they cannot find it at that location, find another location. I do not dislike Forward Brewing. They're a good business as they are. The expansion, there's just not room for it on our street. And it's become a burden, and it's become ridiculous. People are angry at each other. People are yelling in the street. Parking is overburdened on our street. Voting to approve this only serves the owners of Forward Brewing and nobody else, and definitely not the community of Eastport. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, next. Please move up to the lectern.
Hi, thanks for hearing public testimony tonight. I appreciate it. I've got a babysitter at home and some kids, and so I appreciate the chance of not having to do that twice. Just wanted to say that
Your name and address, please.
Sure. Jeremy Olson, 66 Southgate Avenue. I wanted to come and testify on behalf of Forward. I think that this exception is a really necessary and common sense thing for the board to pass. I want to say thank you for your public service, and I just want to say that the law as written needed to include this special exception for it to be a kind of compromise that takes into account all residents. Forward is a place that me and my daughters go for grilled cheese and dessert. We take our boat there, we bike there. Sometimes we take a car there, and we park within a block and a half of Forward Brewing. Excuse you?
You need to engage with the audience. Just
Sure.
direct comments to the board.
So I just want to say Forward has just been an entity and an institution that has given so much to our community. It sponsored our soccer team first when they needed us good sponsorship. They host countless nonprofit events that do community work. It's really important. And I just want to suggest that giving Forward their full capacity is an incredibly important step to recognizing residents like me that love what they're doing in our community. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Kathy Kent, 314 Riverview Avenue, Eastport. From the moment that Forward Brewing opened its doors for business, it has exuded an atmosphere of community spirit that is to be envied by any mixed-use environment. To walk by and see this demographic of families with small children, many in strollers, as well as small groups of people enjoying some social time together, the feeling of, quote, this is a welcoming place to be, unquote, is overwhelming. I live close by in the neighborhood and frequent the establishment very often, either to dine in or pick up carryout. I have been here from all stages of development, from the planning to the implementation, and couldn't be more appreciative of what an asset it has been to the community. It has a hard-to-find business model that promotes casual social interaction while also presenting a menu that shows an incredible amount of thoughtfulness, planning, and affordability. Their commitment to healthy food options is shown in their frequent and seasonal changes to the menu. Any presentation of Forward Brewing as a bar atmosphere is totally erroneous. It could not be farther from the reality of the environment. I urge you to go to the establishment and see for yourself. I am telling you, its uniqueness is so pleasantly refreshing. It is the perfect oasis in the middle of a vibrant, small-town neighborhood. Please allow Forward Brewing to continue operating as it has for these past years. The owner has bent over backward to do everything by the book. This model of success in such an understated way should be allowed to continue. It is what so many talk about as a goal for small business. And lastly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I apologize. I didn't stand up originally because I had not looked at my calendar, but I'm unable to be here in February, and I had signed up to speak this evening.
All right, go ahead.
My name is Mary Ewenson. I live at 139 Pinecrest Drive in Annapolis. A lot changed in 2020, and for some of us, everything changed, and not in a good way. But the addition of Forward Brewing to Eastport was a good change. They arrived in early 2020, bringing a family-friendly gathering spot to Eastport. And during the pandemic, the addition of their outdoor dining allowed us to meet and socialize in a safe way. Fast forward 5 years, and Forward is an integral part of the Eastport community. It's a place where you find Ravens fans talking to Patriots fans and Bills fans weighing in from another table, all about how their 6-year-olds who just met are interacting at Forward. True story, I witnessed that Saturday afternoon. We need more of that in our world now, more than ever. It's a place where I, someone who became single in 2020, can walk in alone and know that if I know no one, I'm welcome to join a social table inside or out. It's a place where we may take our dogs, where I've hosted and attended many a fundraiser, where they reduce, reuse, and recycle, where their non-alcoholic drink offerings are as interesting and varied as their selection of beers, where their food is locally sourced and much of it healthful, although I don't think the pretzel is that healthful, but I like it. Like the Boatyard, Forward's business model evolved by necessity during COVID, and like the Boatyard, their employees, and our community now depend on outdoor dining. If we can grant an exception to the Boatyard, surely we can do the same for Forward. Cam and Claire and their team at Forward are our neighbors, and they're excellent neighbors. Please let them keep their outdoor dining. It's good for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. And what's your name, sir?
I recognize this place. I've been here before. Gavin Buckley, 6 Stewart Avenue. I'm here today to support Forward Brewing and tell you that Forward Brewing is our future. You couldn't ask for better operators than Cam and Claire, people who grew up here, invested in a building that wasn't performing and turned it into a successful establishment. And as a person that was very involved in the activation of our outdoors during COVID, we learned that, we should prioritize people over cars. Annapolis has a lot of parking. It has a lot of street parking. What Annapolis has is a walking problem more than it has a parking problem. So maybe people are going to have to park a little further away. I think we should have some kind of parking district to help the residents of Eastport on the peninsula. But please give Cam and Claire the tools to be successful, and don't punish them for being successful. We all agree that the activation of the Boatyard's parking lot into an outdoor eating area was a 10 times better improvement. And we all know what these guys do at Forward Brewing really is about community. You go there and it's dogs and people and people from all walks of life coming together to enjoy a great beer garden. And their model is different to other models. You have to treat them differently. It's essential that they have that kind of setup, because in a brewery, it's more about standing up around beer barrels, talking to friends, socializing in that format than it is about sit-down dining, which sometimes can be stuffy. Changing habits, we have changed our habits in how we eat, when we eat. I know as a restaurateur, people are not eating out as late as they used to eat out. So you don't get that opportunity to get dollars in the door there. So you need to be able to maximize your work. And even with your help to get this across the line, it's the hospitality business. It is the hardest business you can be in. You need every opportunity to sort of be successful. I've been in it for a long time, and I like to say that I've been in the non-profit world now for over 30 years because it is a hard way to make a living. But if you love what you do, like these guys do, if you have a passion for beer like these guys do, please help them today, be successful, and thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gavin. All right, do you have a motion, Mr. Dales?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion for continuance to the February hearing for the primary reason that the staff report was provided on Christmas Eve afternoon. Really only 2 business days for us to review it, develop a response, and decide whether we might make any adjustments or arguments. I could provide further justification, but I'll pause there.
Any objection from the city?
No, sir.
All right, we'll continue this case until the February meeting. Thank you all.
New Year's Eve day, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We'll see you in February.
All right, the next case is variance 2025-0011, 1309 Poplar Avenue. Variance application by the owners for reduction to the required through lot setback for an accessory structure of from 30 feet to 6 feet to allow construction of a garage and accessory dwelling unit. Ms. Burke?
Thank you. As you said, the applicant is asking for a reduction of the 30-foot required through yard for the placement of a detached garage with the second-story ADU. They're asking for 6 feet. Originally, this application came in with the footprint of this being 26 by 36 feet. And it was from the ground elevation up about a little over 28 feet tall, which was the basis of our recommendation of 15 feet. The applicant has since reimagined as the package, the updated package I provided to you, a smaller footprint of 23 feet by 30 feet with a reduced height of about 3.5 to 4 feet. So with that, the city would support the structure being slightly closer. We would support about 11 feet, which is the height that the setback that would be allowed if it wasn't a through lot. As you know, I don't know if we got to this in the first hearing. This street has no accessory structures on the block face. There are several blocks down other non-conforming single-story garages, as you've seen in the photos, that yes, they're all too close, but they're non-conforming. They've been there forever. So the city doesn't want to create a two-story structure that close to the property with the massing of a two-story structure. So we feel that 11 feet would be more appropriate. I know the applicant is trying to, which was part of the reason for the reduction, saving some of the trees on the side of the property. I don't think that moving it back that little bit, 5 more feet, will do that much additional damage to the critical root zone because they have shrunken the garage 3 feet in width so they can move it over 3 feet to the left side of the property. So the city is favorable, obviously, to ADUs, detached ADUs. We do them frequently. And we are recommending the 11-foot setback.
All right. And notice and posting have been satisfied.
Yes.
And we did.
And
have
I did send you the second batch of neighborhood comments.
We did have some public comments. All right. So, Ms. Kopp, would you like to continue in your?
Is your mic on?
Okay. Well, you tell us how you'd like to do it. I think last time you said you review the documents. So
Okay, yeah.
do you want to ask questions or do we need to go through?
We've read your application and the attachments. We read the statement in support that was pretty thorough. We read your slide deck. We read the city's recommendations, and we read your most recent response to the city recommendation. So if there's something that wasn't in there that you'd like us to know about, please tell us about it. If there's some point that requires particular emphasis, you can do that. Otherwise, we'll open it up for questions from the board.
The one thing I want to make sure you've seen are the letters from Brian Adams regarding the critical root zone and some of his comments that were made.
Yeah.
Did you get those?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, we've seen them.
Yeah, because based on that, we couldn't build this at 11 feet and keep the magnolia alive based on his comments. So the city's recommendation for 11 feet wouldn't work.
All right. Questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, just if I could ask Burke, Kim, so just to be clear, all of the conditions in the staff report that you sent out originally are still in place?
Yes.
The single change to your recommendations would be from 15 feet to 11 feet?
Actually, I would probably, I think I did say that because the original structure was so tall that it was in danger of it visually appeared to be taller than their house, that we wouldn't require them to have a survey of their house if it were to be 24.5 feet tall, because it's obviously their house is taller than that.
That's fine, but the most material
But
change
everything else, yes.
is the footage. Okay. Thank you.
Question for the applicants. Are you still insisting that you should be able to submit certifications that aren't certified by a licensed professional.
For the stormwater management,
Yeah.
we had a meeting after our last with, sorry. Thank you. We had a meeting since our last meeting with you all with the department, and it sounded like the director was going to be, he would accept a landscape architect's plan. I mean, our belief is that because the addition of the stormwater management plan is specifically because it's an ADU, it actually goes against a Maryland state law. So we don't think that we should have to do any stormwater management, although we will because we care about the environment and we will do some, but we don't believe it should be a part of this appeal approval. And we have contracted with a licensed landscape architect to do something, but it's not stormwater management engineering.
Other questions from other board members?
I would like
Mr.
to-
Chairman,
Go ahead.
can we hear from the city on that last comment, please?
So a licensed landscape architect has the authority to sign and seal stormwater management plans as long as they're not structures in the ground. Like if they were to design a rain garden or something like that, they are legally allowed to do that design. They just can't do like dry wells and any sort of hard structure.
So you really have no dispute then?
If they have a licensed landscape architect prepare their plan, no, but it is in the code that stormwater management is required.
Yeah.
I should also say that that's Public Works that reviews that too. So they,
No, I mean, I know it's the law that you have to have a licensed professional or you're going
Right.
to have to do. All right. Go ahead.
Condition C, the purpose of the variance is not based exclusively on, I'm sorry, D, the alleged difficulty, the hardship condition seems to just reiterate what it states, but has not been addressed. Either the applicant or council could explain how asking for permission to build the ADU isn't what is creating the hardship.
Sorry, so you're saying doing the ADU isn't creating the hardship
You have
for,
no hardship without the ADU.
Why would we be here if we weren't building?
I understand, but one of the requirements is to grant the special exception for the ADU is to demonstrate you're asking for permission to build the ADU in a way that is seeking relief from the required code. Okay? One of the justifications for that relief is that you did not create the hardship that you're seeking the relief from. The ADU itself, the request to put it in is in fact creating the hardship. So you have to demonstrate what's unique, what's unusual, what's strange, non-consistent. What about your neighborhood, your lot, your property?
it's a through lot. That's strange. If this was a non-through lot, the setback wouldn't be 30 feet.
That is exactly this type of testimony or evidence that you should be putting in your application, not just rewriting the question or the requirement. I'm reading from page 3, D. You're supposed to, underneath each one of these, attest why you feel you meet the requirement. And you have not done anything there except for to rewrite the requirement.
Kim, the staff agrees that they've met the hardship, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, sorry. Yes, the city supports some relief from the code. I mean, it is a through lot. A 30-foot setback is a hardship on that street. I mean, 30 feet would be basically a house addition, not a detached structure. I mean, there are other non-conforming detached structures, and there are also other conforming detached structures. So we are certainly supportive of providing some relief based on the through lot. I mean, it's not just this neighborhood. We have provided relief for through lots at properties in Murray Hill.
And for the benefit of all parties, I'm not seeking to throw the application out based on this. I'm asking to get testimony entered into the record
Yeah.
as to.
But I thought,
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, it's fine. So 10 seconds or less, but just state for the record how your lot, and you're on the right track, was not, the hardship was not created by you. You didn't sell off a piece of the property, thus creating a through lot. You know, I don't want to put the words in your mouth, but
Sure. Well, the hardship was created by the city code that was adopted sometime after 1926. In our original deed, we have a 25-foot setback from Poplar, and there's no setback from Maple Avenue. So from that date forward, city code came into effect and imposed setbacks of 30 feet for through lots and 6 feet on the sides. That was not our doing, and the intent of the property and the development in 1926 was not to have any setbacks on Maple at all. So when you look at the built environment and you see where all the houses are and where all the structures are, they are very close to the street. And so it is a little bit of a unique situation, because to keep with the nature and the feel of the neighborhood, we want to sort of mimic that development standard before the city imposed the bulk regulations.
that's an adequate answer.
Okay.
You've
Thanks.
answered enough into the test. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
any other questions? Dr. Shan?
Kim, in G, you say that in the staff report that staff finds that the variance requested is not the minimum necessary. Of course, we always seek, right, to have the minimum. Can you explain to us why we should make an exception in this case specifically?
Yes, well, as I said before, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a 30-foot setback. I mean, that's pretty significant for an accessory structure on a through lot. So we feel that, as I stated, they're asking for 6 feet. Based on the non-conforming structures that are closer than 6 feet, they're all 1 to 1.5 story detached garages. We try not to keep the non-conformity of that extreme going with new construction. So we would like it stepped slightly further back, because it's a 2-story structure, to kind of keep the massing further away from the street.
Okay. And then with regard to the through lot, because that seems to be extremely relevant here, can you please just educate me? This is my first through lot case.
Okay.
And explain the reasoning behind the 30-foot in a through lot.
I mean, that's the city code. The city code, because this is a public street. You know, their property doesn't abut an alley, and we have the alleys in Eastport, and they have different setbacks because they're alleys. This is an actual public street,
right?
So it is in the definition under 2172 of lots, through lots. If your property fronts, the front of it and the rear of it has a public street, it's considered a through lot, and the setbacks for accessory structures is 30 feet.
So in this instance, because it is a public street and not an alley, Maple, I think it is, we are then, we need to think about the block face, which you did mention in your narrative.
Right.
And so if this board was to allow the structure to go up, then potentially it could change the block face of Maple, which is now essentially an open street, meaning there aren't structures right up against the sidewalk.
Not on that block. There are not.
Right.
There are no there is, so 2 doors down, there's an accessory shed, but it's literally abutting the house and it's 30 feet away. But that's nothing as substantial as this. That's just a storage shed.
And so down the street, you said, or somebody said, that there are one-story
Yeah,
garages.
so they submitted photos of those with their application, and they're all non-conforming. As you can see, they're pretty
and
close
they're
to the
all
road.
non-conforming.
They've been there for
So that's kind of what's happening in the neighborhood. So I'd like to talk to the applicant a little bit about, why do you need an ADU? Why can't you just have a one-story garage, which is consistent with the rest of the neighborhood?
Great question. You want me to take it or you want to take it?
Yeah, why don't you take the...
Yeah. Well, we know that Maryland's in a housing crisis. The state has put out many reports on this. The city is essentially begging for more housing. And we could have much easier built a one-story garage. And we would have a ping pong table in there for our son and his friends. We have a basketball hoop out back now. It's very fun. But we didn't want to do that. We want to build more housing for the next generation. And we care about this. And so we want to have an ADU because we think it's a waste of space to build a structure just for a car. And that's why we want an ADU.
The other thing I'll mention is that the city compares this development to our block and sometimes doesn't necessarily compare to 2 or 3 blocks over on Maple. And it's important to remember that this is a new type of construction for Annapolis. ADUs are only approved in 2024 and 2025 by the state. It takes time to build them, and we don't have any on our street or on our block. It's using the historical record to determine the future is not really a great way to do development in the city when we have some new tools at our disposal, when ADUs are new. So I think that's important to keep in mind as well. And if you were to go and walk Maple, you'll notice that there's maybe 3 houses on Maple and 13 garages, right? It's not this concept of a block face
Or
where
streetscape. It's not a
it's not a
streetscape.
streetscape where you'd have lots of houses fronting the other, Maple. You see a lot of sides of houses and accessory structures.
Mm-hmm.
I would also add, I know you were asking about the block face and the bulk and things. And I hope you all had a chance to drive by or at least look at it. I don't know if you do in these cases, but
We're not supposed to.
Oh, that's wild because you're going to make a very important decision for our life. And
Well, that's why we rely on your photo.
I see.
Okay.
Okay. So you were mentioning the block face. We also submitted as part of our application, yes, it's not on our particular block, but within 4 blocks, all of us walk around the neighborhood often. There are many structures, primary structures, more than 2 stories high that are pretty close to Maple Avenue. Yes, none of them are fronting Maple Avenue, but the side of one home at Woodlawn and Maple is very close. My next door neighbor has her home 2.5 stories high, 8 feet from the sidewalk. That's not that, I mean, it's 2 feet more than what we're asking for at 6. And so it's not unprecedented for our neighborhood to have bulk near the street. And it's not detrimental to the neighborhood. People still like living there, and we love having our kids play there.
And so, in terms of providing housing,
yes,
for the city of Annapolis, one of the motivations behind the intent behind the legislation is to have affordable housing for the working people to be able to live in Annapolis. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean,
I
I love that. Our son goes to Germantown up the street. Many of his friends whose parents are of lower incomes, they have to live farther away from our neighborhood because essentially we've outlawed apartments in our neighborhood. And I don't like that. I don't think that's fair. I would love to be able to build an apartment in our neighborhood where someone could have an affordable unit.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, one more question, Kim. Just on the height, you said they decreased the height, which is great.
Yes.
In the city's mind, and from a block face perspective, you're happy with the ridge height of the structure.
With our recommended
if it's 11
distance,
feet
yes.
back.
11 feet back.
Correct.
Right, but the height
The height is much more in keeping with the
Okay.
neighborhood with
Okay.
the reduced height,
Okay,
correct?
thank
And
you. Thank you.
For the
Thanks.
record, the city isn't against the ADU. I mean, we fully support ADUs.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Understood. Thank you.
Making sure.
Mr. Heckler? Mr. Ramsden? Tim, are there sidewalks on Maple,
Yes,
both sides?
yes.
And when you measure setbacks, where do you measure them from in relation to the sidewalk? From the street side of the sidewalk?
It's
or
from the property line, so it's on the other side of the sidewalk.
from the other side of the sidewalk?
Yes.
Okay, so the sidewalk's going to be there even if we gave them a 0 setback.
Yes.
What is the required setback for the houses across the street where it's a side yard? What would their Maple Avenue setback be?
So on the other side of the street,
The other side.
there
of
are
the Maple.
only 2 lots,
Yeah, right.
and they are side yards.
Yeah, and what are the side yard setbacks?
I think it's 15 feet.
I mean, for our property, it's 6 feet is the setback.
It's a corner side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Looking at the drawing, it doesn't seem to me. I don't feel like there's a big risk on the tree, but I'm not an expert. Has the arborist looked at this?
The arborist has been out there, correct? Yes.
And they support the conclusion that it's not likely to harm the tree.
So the reason that excuse me, the reason they reduced the size of the ADU was to move a portion of it out of the critical root zone of the trees. So since it's shrinking the three feet in width, we're proposing that it's moved to the left back to where the original garage was placed and then moved upward.
The 6 foot is still consistent from what we understood when Brian Adams, the city forester, came to meet with us. The reason we shrunk it as we did, and we still need the 6 foot setback, is because we think this is literally the largest now we can make it with his recommendation. So if we pushed it back to 11 feet, we do not think, well, we can't guarantee the magnolia would survive. So really, we're making a decision between a tree. Do we want to keep the tree and put the home closer to the maple, or do we want to push it back and risk killing the magnolia? Those are the 2 choices we have. And
Which was significant.
And I thought Brian Adams would write a report for this, but I didn't see one. It was just his conversation with us and the emails that he sent us that I submitted. And this was our understanding, that this is really where we need to put it.
So are you a party to the case?
I'm a direct neighbor. I just did a comment.
You did submit a comment?
Yes, sir.
This is the gentleman that submitted after the deadline. Oh, what is your name?
Aaron Brady.
Oh, no, he did.
Well,
There was only one person that signed up to submit.
we have your
speak.
comment, and we thank you. So, Kim, as I understand the basis for the city's recommendation, I'm filling in a little here. At some point, I think the applicant referred to Maple as really an alley. It's clearly, as you pointed out, it's not an alley legally, but it's a standard width street. There are some houses fronting on Maple on the other side. And the houses that front on intersecting streets have long, deep lots, and a good part of their view from those lots is Maple Avenue. And you're, I think, with expected more ADUs, as the city wants to encourage them, what's this block face going to look like as it develops out? And your concern leading to suggesting less than what they've requested is you don't want huge, massive structures too close to the street. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, I get it. Any more questions from the board? Anything you'd like to add before we deliberate? Okay. All right, so we'll close the record and mark the exhibit. Who would like to go first? Mr. Zali, would you like to claim your privilege?
It's a tough one, because it is unique. The lot is a through lot. The city has clearly, and this is one of those cases that we heard so many times before, that where the broadness of the city council's intention runs hard into the specifics of individual lots and so on and so forth, and we're forced to try to shoehorn our best interpretation of the code and the law into applications that were not clearly considered. I mean, if they were very clear, if the city council was really up to their their onions, they would have considered through lots in their language in the ADU structure. We wouldn't be forced to have an opinion about how to comply. It would tell us what to do without any question. But fortunately, we have this job. Because they didn't, we get a job, right? We get to spend Tuesday nights out. So for that, we're appreciative. I do not feel the difference between 11 and 6 is an enormous difference. I hate both of them, to be honest, right? Like, I know that when I walk through Eastport and I pass the Tecumseh, which is a very big mass, it's right hard on the curb. It is the least pleasant part of walking around Eastport, is that 45 feet, right? But that's 4 feet away from the curb is a zero lot line. That is built on a zero. They're asking for 6. We get I don't know if it's a 36-inch sidewalk, probably an old 30. Maybe.
Yeah.
So you got a 36-inch sidewalk with a 36-inch buffer, right? So if you're parking a car in that garage, this creates a pretty risky endeavor, backing out or even pulling out, right? Because you only have 3 feet of buffer before the nose or trunk of your car is in the sidewalk and you are still in the garage.
With limited visibility.
With not great visibility, right? So this is a hazard that can't be ignored, right? 11 feet would at least have you and the cab of your car and your steering wheel break the plane of the garage and still not be into the sidewalk, in theory, right? For most cars. So this to me speaks to some level of public risk, safety, so on and so forth. The tree is, I think the tree is being used as, the applicant is hanging a lot on this tree, right? They're hoping that we love magnolias here.
And we do.
And we do. We love all magnolias. But again, is the house, the ADU a little smaller? Is 9 feet and a little smaller? All of that notwithstanding, I don't know that I'd be in a position to approve it at 6 without some further dialogue.
Michael?
I'm very sympathetic to the plight of the through lot conundrum. They're an old, just an old way of looking at our zoning laws, how they're used. So clearly, this is, in my mind, it is unique. But I could not go for 6 feet. I just think that's too tight for many of the reasons that Mr. Zazali mentioned previously. Can't say I'm satisfied necessarily with 11, but if the city feels that this is consistent with, it's going to not be massing too much to the straight face, to the block face in the street, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
Dr. Ken?
I do worry about the block face, which is why the 6 feet worries me. I worry 6 feet, 6 feet all the way down the block on every one of these yards that we see. I would prefer the maximum setback recommended by the staff. That's what I would go with.
Hector?
Being this is a very unique situation, Mr. Zazali pointed out a car pulling out of the garage. Anything could happen. A stroller coming down the street, an elderly person on a walker. I can't support it.
So you'd support the staff recommendation?
Yes.
Mr. Ramsden? You know, I think the staff has, and the applicant have done a good job trying to work this out. I do think that it's smart and it's good policy for us to think about what the block face is going to look like when more of this development happens. The number that Kim is suggesting is based on what it would be if it was not through lot. In light of the clear intention of the council to encourage more ADUs, I could see maybe a little bit of flexibility to make it a little tighter than that, but I don't know what the justification for that would be. Is there some, would 10 feet be a lot better than 11 feet?
Well, we would need to talk more to the forester, I think, about that. And I guess I was wondering about the car because that wasn't brought up earlier, so I didn't know if you wanted us to respond to that.
No, actually, the record's closed.
Oh, okay.
I was just trying to see if there was a way to resolve
I mean,
this, to keep you.
we
more
don't
happy.
want. I don't know if you read our next door neighbor's comment about the magnolia. It is an extremely important tree to her and us. We cannot kill it, and we cannot risk killing it. So we don't know if we could build it at 11 feet or not. So we don't. Yeah. And
Is there a motion to approve with the 11-foot setback?
Mr. Chairman, I move that variance 2025-00011, the application of 1309 Poplar Avenue variance application be approved, provided with the city's recommendation of 11-foot setback and all other conditions based on the weight of the evidence that has been presented on the record to the board.
For a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So,
Any opposed?
any opposed? All right, so thank you. I'm sure you're disappointed, but
it's frustrating to have to come to the Board of Appeals for something that everybody else would have been granted anyway, and not be able to do it. But thank you for your time.
It's the council that said you have to come to.
Totally, I got it. Well, thank you all.
Thank you. Good luck. All right, we have one more case tonight. Variance 25014 for a reduction of required 6-foot side yard setback to 6-foot side yard setback to 4 foot to accommodate the construction of a second floor addition over the existing portion of the house located at 17 Thompson Street. Sorry to keep you all waiting so long. Certainly the simplest case of the night. Ms. Burke?
Okay, this is going to be a quick one. This is for a variance for a rear addition over the existing first story rear addition of their house. So they aren't looking to encroach any further into their neighbor's yard than they already are with their first story. They just want to go up an additional story for an addition. So there's no additional lot coverage. The porch in the back is all conforming on this plan. They're just looking for the hatched area, second story addition. They have letters of support from their neighbors on either side. And we support them.
Notice and posting is good.
Yes.
All right. Would the applicants like to be heard? We've read your application. Is your mic on?
In order to do that, we have to.
If you're gonna give us more information, we need to make sure that it's truthful. Do you affirm, subject to penalties for perjury, that the evidence you give tonight will be true to the best of your knowledge? Please go ahead.
We need to get a 2-foot relief from the 6-foot side yard variance.
Looks like a cookie cutter to me.
Yes. Very straightforward.
Any questions from the board?
Staff supports it in all respects.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve. This is
2514.
variance request 20250014 for the evidence contained in the staff report, the applicant's testimony here this evening, and the support from the neighbors.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right. Anything else we need to talk about? We're going to have, there's no second January meeting, is that correct?
No, and we'll have forward.
And we're going to have forward
For
on
February.
February.
I'm not sure. I've been so tied up with that. I don't know what's coming down. Okay. So,
Yeah, we've already chit-chat about how we're going to administer that. I had the Utah that Saturday, so no continuing 6 days.
You're here, Mr. Heck. Go.
Nope.
All right. Yeah, I will be out of town, but I'll be participating virtually. So you want to let the folks know. Have them contract with a makeup artist. Key West.
What time zone will you be in?
Hmm?
What time zone will you be in?
Same one. Key West.
I move we adjourn.
Maybe the same time zone, different century.
Different something, different latitude. All right. Nice to see you all. The first New Year's meeting. Kim, you look like you've been.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you again.